Welcome to the deep dive. We skip the summaries, we get straight to the insight.
And today, we're really getting into one of the heavier, more, let's say, provocative texts out there.
Absolutely. We're immersing ourselves in Albert Camus' novel, A Happy Death.
Right. It's often seen as, like, the precursor to The Stranger, but it's got this really distinct focus.
Yeah, it's not just about alienation, is it? This protagonist, Patrice Mersault.
Yeah.
He doesn't just, face the void.
No, he actively tries to buy his way out, buy his way into perfect happiness. It's quite the premise.
And the price he pays is, well, it's extreme. So the mission for this deep dive is to really analyze Mersault's journey.
His deliberate, calculated break from his old life.
Exactly, escaping what the novel calls a natural death, that sort of routine, grinding existence.
For a conscious death, a life lived and ended with intention.
And it all kicks off with something pretty shocking.
Yeah, you can't really understate it. He murders a wealthy, crippled man, Roland Zagreus.
And steals his money, his life savings. That's how his quest for happiness begins.
It's this raw, existential crime launching a philosophical journey. Really, it's Camus exploring this idea that happiness isn't just, stumbled upon.
It's a commodity, something you have to consciously go after, buy, even perfect.
That's the core idea Mersault runs with. And it starts with this act of violence and theft.
Okay, let's set the scene before the murder. Mersault's life sounds just awful.
Oh, it's bleak. Defined by decay, really physical and, spiritual.
He's got this dull office job, feels completely alienated from himself.
And the living situation?
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, his dead mother's room, right above a horse butcher shop. He reads the sign, "To man's noblest conquest."
While smelling the slaughter downstairs. That contrast is just brutal. It perfectly captures his state.
Yeah, it really sets up why he feels he needs such a radical break. This natural life is killing him slowly.
Absolutely. It's rotting him from the inside out. But he needs, a philosophy to justify the escape.
And that's where the victim comes in, Roland Zagreus.
Right. He's not just some random rich guy. He's got amputated legs. He's reading serious philosophy, Balthazar Gracian, no less, when Mersault shows up.
So he's cultivated, almost a mentor figure in a twisted way.
Kind of. He provides the intellectual framework, the justification Mersault needs.
Okay, so what's the core of Zagreus' philosophy, the one Mersault latches onto?
It's pretty straightforward, actually. Zagreus says, basically, happiness needs time. Lots of time.
Okay.
And to have money is to have time. That's my main point. Time can be bought.
Time can be bought. Wow.
Yeah. Zagreus himself saved up almost 2 million francs, but then he was crippled. He couldn't use the time he'd bought.
So the money's just sitting there representing potential time, potential happiness, unused.
Exactly. And Zagreus saw pursuing happiness as, the ultimate goal, almost a job in itself.
He says something about the craving for happiness being the noblest thing.
Yeah, the noblest thing in man's heart. And crucially, in my eyes, that justified everything. A pure heart was enough.
Wait, hang on. That's a huge leap, isn't it? A pure heart, meaning just wanting happiness intensely, justifies anything. Murder.
That's the implication Mersault seems to take. That the sheer desire, if it's pure, makes the actions okay. Self-interest becomes nobility.
Does Zagreus himself really push it that far, or is Mersault just hearing what he wants to hear?
Well, Zagreus is maybe more focused on the potential that money unlocks. Mersault definitely simplifies it.
To a kind of transaction.
Right. Zagreus bought the time. He can't use it. So Mersault feels justified taking it to fulfill this noblest duty of being happy. It's extreme rationalization.
And it helps Mersault's conscience, I suppose, that Zagreus seems ready for death.
Oh, absolutely. That's a key detail. Zagreus kept a gun nearby and a letter saying he wanted to die.
He used the possibility of suicide to feel more alive?
Kind of. The absurd feasibility of death confirming his craving to live. It's complex, but for Mersault, it's convenient.
So he kills him, makes it look like suicide.
Stages the whole thing, finds the note. It even says something like, "I am doing away with only half a man. Use what is left over to improve conditions for prisoners."
It's all so cold, so planned. He takes the money, leaves. The source mentions him shivering, sneezing.
Yes, that feverish shivering, the 3 sneezes, it's like his body is reacting, even if his mind has justified it.
A physical rebellion against the act, the cost of severing his old life?
Could be. It's definitely the transition point. The old, rotting life is violently cut off. Now the conscious construction begins.
He quits his job, tells them he has the flu, and bolts to Prague.
The first phase of this conscious break. seeking isolation.
Yeah, the Prague section is interesting. He deliberately seeks out misery, doesn't he? A horrible hotel room.
He finds a dreadful pleasure in it, and all that desolation. He needs to burn away the old self, it seems.
Through suffering.
Through sensory overload and isolation, yeah. He's forcing himself into a kind of purification.
Because his goal now is to, rebuild himself.
To refashion himself and his fate. He decides happiness isn't passive. It has to be created, thought about, like art.
Like any work of art, life needs to be thought about. That's a key line.
Definitely. No more drifting. This is active construction using the time he's, acquired.
And that sensory suffering in Prague is described so intensely.
Yeah. The smell, that pungent, sour smell of vinegar and cucumbers. He links it directly to his alien solitude.
It's visceral.
And then there's the encounter with the blind accordionist.
Right, in that dark cellar, playing this ancient-sounding melody.
Heavy with the dust of centuries. It all strips away any lingering romanticism, I think. Forces him into this raw state.
So the grime, the smells, the isolation, it's all part of achieving the necessary lucidity to start over.
That seems to be the idea. Purification through sensory abrasion.
He doesn't stay long, though. Moves on. There's that brief stop in Vienna.
Ah, yes, the incident with the hostess, Helen.
He accidentally gives her way too much money, right? 500 shillings instead of 100.
Exactly. And when she realizes the mistake, she's so surprised and grateful she just kisses him. Spontaneously.
And Mersault registers this as important.
Very. He notes it's a disinterested kiss. A genuine human connection that wasn't planned or sought, just happened because of his financial freedom, essentially. It sparked something in him.
A little spark of emotion. It's maybe the first sign that the money can facilitate something beyond just buying time.
Perhaps. A genuine human moment, outside his calculations.
So he's bought the time, survived the purification. Now he has to figure out how to actually live happily, which takes him back to Algiers.
Right. For his first real experiment in constructing happiness.
Well, the data actually
Communal
supports a
living.
more
With
nuanced view when
Rose,
you consider
Claire, and Catherine in the house above the world.
Yes, this house literally perched on a hill, open to the elements, open to view.
Yeah.
They live very sensually, very deliberately under the gaze of the world.
Treating the world as a judge and a justification, that's an interesting phrase.
It implies a conscious performance almost, living their happiness openly.
And they insist it's not a house of pleasure, it was a house of happiness. What's the difference there for Camus?
Pleasure seems fleeting, maybe superficial, tied to momentary things. Happiness, in their setup, is more about a state of being.
A conscious structure.
Yeah, built on simplicity, friendship, connection to nature, the sun, things they've chosen and organized.
But Mersault doesn't stick with it for long.
No, he's always analyzing, always practical. Collective joy isn't quite enough, or maybe it's not disciplined enough for him.
Which leads to more examples of his ruthless practicality.
Like his marriage to Lucienne, the secretary.
Right. He basically says, if you want, I can marry you, but I don't see the point. So clinical.
Totally detached.
Yeah.
He gets his finances sorted,
Oh.
invests the stolen money, interestingly, in German pharmaceuticals.
Yeah. Go.
And then he leaves the communal house, moves on to the next phase.
Solitude again, but different this time.
Disciplined solitude. Near the Roman ruins at Tapasa in Chinois. This is crucial.
Why crucial?
Because now he's not just spending the time he bought. He's actively earning his happiness through rigorous self-discipline.
Moving from communal joy to this structured isolation.
Yeah.
Seeking life in its pure state.
Exactly. He sets up this incredibly strict routine, almost monastic.
Tell us about that. It sounds less like freedom, more like a new kind of prison.
Well, it's freedom from anxiety and hope, maybe. He calls it conscious hygiene. Early morning swimming, walking to the ruins at precisely 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Why 2 o'clock?
To sync his pulse, his own rhythm, with the violent pulsation of the sun. He's trying to merge with the natural world through sheer force of will and routine.
Trying to eliminate thought, almost.
Very much. Eliminate worry, eliminate longing, which leads him to this strange idea that unintelligence must be earned.
Earned unintelligence? What does that even mean?
It's about achieving a state beyond intellectual fussiness, getting rid of the overthinking, the constant searching for, meaning that, for him, blocks simple existence, simple happiness.
To be present, purely present.
Yeah. To conquer the complex, anxious self. And through this, he decides that happiness was human, eternity ordinary. He's grounded it.
He's achieved this stripped-down state. The time is bought, the happiness is earned through discipline.
But before he fully retreats, there's one more encounter back in Algiers.
With Martha, his old flame. the one he called image.
Right. It's a really important callback. Shows how far he's come.
How so?
Martha, who used to represent his own vanity, this painted goddess, she's changed. She's just decent. Forgiving, even.
She admits seeing his past pain made her feel sad and happy.
Yeah. And Mersault, who's probably pretty awful to her back then, feels this genuine burst of gratitude. He sees her clearly for the first time, maybe.
He acknowledges his past self by saying, "Till next time, image," as he leaves.
And gets another disinterested kiss, like the one in Vienna.
But this one isn't bought by accident. It feels earned through emotional honesty.
Exactly. It's a sign of actual growth.
Yeah.
He's managed a real connection, free from the ego that drove him before the murder.
Okay. So the journey seems complete. The life built. The happiness, in his terms, achieved.
Which brings us to the end. The final act. The conscious death.
You get sick. Pleurisy.
Yes, confined to bed. But the illness doesn't stop his project.
It becomes the final stage of the project.
Right. He needs to control his death, just like he controlled his life. Is this the ultimate victory over that natural death he feared, or just the final performance?
He demands lucidity, tells the doctor, Bernard.
I don't want to die in a coma. I want to see what's happening. No escaping it. Face it head on.
He wants to conquer the body's animal rebellion against dying by just observing it consciously.
And in doing so, he connects back to the very beginning, to Zagreus.
How does that connection happen?
In his last moments, he feels this intense connection of violent and fraternal love for Zagreus.
For the man he killed.
Yes. He realizes that killing him wasn't just a crime to get money. It was like an initiation, a union which bound them together forever.
Whoa. So the murder becomes integral to his entire achieved identity.
It's the foundation. And he finds his ultimate justification right there at the end.
What's the final realization?
That the fear of dying justified a limitless attachment to what is alive in man. Basically, if you fear death, it proves you value life intensely.
And those who don't live fully are the ones who truly fear death.
That's his conclusion. But for himself, he feels he succeeded. He'd perfected man's one duty, which is only to be happy.
Happiness as the only duty. And the crime was the necessary step to fulfill it.
That's his justification.
And the death itself, is it lucid, as he wanted?
Completely. The description is stark. He feels a stone rising in his throat. He dies, eyes open, lucid, returning, as the text says, like a stone among the stones, to the truth of the motionless world.
A union with the physical world achieved through conscious effort, ending in conscious acceptance.
It's the ultimate statement of his project's success in his eyes.
So Mersault's path, it's deeply unsettling. This deliberate, conscious grab for time and happiness, starting with murder, ending with this self-proclaimed justification.
It forces you to confront really hard questions about morality, about what justifies a life, about discipline versus freedom.
Zagreus said the desire for happiness was the noblest thing. Was Mersault's pure, relentless focus on achieving it, that lucidity, that pure heart Zagreus mentioned, enough to justify the crime?
Or is it just the most elaborate rationalization for profound selfishness? That's the tension.
And it leaves you, the listener, with a heavy question. What would it mean to reach your own end, believing you had perfected man's one duty, which is only to be happy no matter how you got there?
Something to think about.
Definitely. We'll leave you with that provocative thought. See you next time on The Deep Dive.